queen bee is the most important single bee of the hive. Her genetics determines the characteristics of your colony: how gentle they are, how productive, how disease resistant and mite resistant, and how adapted they are to local conditions. My name is Tom Repass, and I breed queen bees. I used to graft in the front seat of my pickup truck. Now I have a small shed. I have a truck battery for electricity, for a light, and a fan. It keeps me out of the wind and out of the sun. Inside I have a chair, a small desk, a light with a magnifying lens, and a wooden rack upon which I place the brood comb. On the day that we're scheduled to graft, I go into the breeder colony and select a brood comb with larvae of the proper age. About 5 days earlier, I placed an empty, dark brood comb in the center of the brood nest. Bees' eggs take about 3 days to hatch, which means there should be a mix of eggs, young larvae, and older larvae. You can't see it in this video, but the queen has been laying eggs and there's plenty of young larvae here to graft from. Let's take a look at one of the other combs. Look at that beautiful pattern of capped brood. Hardly any missed cells. Oh, and there's the queen. Good. We don't want to take her out on the other comb of eggs and young larvae. Before we begin grafting, let's go over some of the supplies that we'll use. So here are JZBZ queen cell cups. There's many types of queen cell cups available, but I like these the best. They come in various colors. You can use different colors if you're grafting from different breeder queens. The push-in cups go into a wooden bar that we later hang into the cell starter colony. Every queen breeder has their preferences for grafting tools. I prefer the Chinese grafting tool the best. It has a spring-loaded top with a flexible tip to place underneath the larva and a movable plastic plunger to push it off gently. After gently brushing the nurse bees off of the brood comb, we bring it into the grafting shed and look for young larvae to transfer from the brood comb into our queen cell cups. Although bees can raise queens from older larvae, the quality of the queens will be inferior. Those two larvae are obviously too old. They're filling up the entire bottom of the cell. You're looking for a larva before it forms the shape of a letter C. That one there in the center of the screen, although it could be grafted, is about 36 hours old or older, and that's also a little bit too old. There's an egg. I usually find the larva of the proper age right where the eggs are beginning to hatch. What you're looking for is a small larva, 12 to 24 hours of age, about 1.5 times the size of an egg, floating in a pool of royal jelly. There it is. See how it's more of a shape of a comma rather than a letter C? That's exactly what you want. It's best to go straight down, push the flexible portion of the grafting tool underneath the larva, pulling her out without touching the sides, and with a small portion of royal jelly. You then put her very carefully into the center of the queen cell cup. About 24 to 48 hours before grafting day, I make up the cell starter. It's a hive into which I shuck young nurse bees without any young larvae or eggs. These bees are definitely queenless. Can you hear them buzzing and roaring like that? They're ready to make queens. All we have to do is add the grafted queen cells. After I'm done grafting, I put the cell cups on the cell bars onto a frame, and then I gently slip that right into the middle of the cell starter. The bees will go right to work. See that cup with the white substance inside it? That's royal jelly. They're just beginning to draw out the wax. 10 days after grafting, the queen cells are ripe. The queens are ready to emerge in a day or two. In order to raise great queens, they need to be well bred, from breeder colonies of good genetic stock, well mated, they mated with drones from the colonies with the characteristics that you want, and they need to be well fed. Even though this queen has pupated, there's still plenty of royal jelly left within the cup, and that's exactly what you want to see. Look at how absolutely beautiful this queen cell is. It's like a work of art. The day before the queen cells are ready to emerge, we put them into mating nucleus hives, which we call mating nukes for short. These are set out in our mating yard among the ponderosa pine trees. The entrances face in different directions so the young queens can more easily find their way back and not get confused. We have to put each queen into a separate colony, otherwise they'll fight. I also use queen castles. These are hives with dividers that allow us to mate up to 4 young queens in one hive. There are 2 combs in each section with a divider, keeping the bees apart. Each queen castle has an entrance, facing in a different direction, making it easier for the young queen to find her way back. We take the ready-to-emerge queen cells and put them either on the face of the comb, earlier in the year when it's more cold, so the bees can keep it warm, or later in the season we put it right between the top bars of the frames. Another thing I like about queen castles is that the dividers are removable. If a queen is sold, or if it's later in the season and the population is increasing, we can remove the divider and make it into a side-by-side 4-frame nuke. Queens will go on their mating flights around day 7 or 10 and begin laying eggs 3 days later. Once she's laid eggs, we can mark her. It's very important to be gentle. Pick her up by the wings or the thorax, but never by the abdomen. We use a little paint pen and mark her with the color of the year. Every year has a different color. We give it a few seconds for the paint to dry, and then we put her back in the hive. We like for our queens to lay for at least 21 to 28 days to assure that they're of high quality. But once an order comes in for the queen, we need to cage her for the beekeeper. Again, pick her up by the wings and put her head first. Whoops! She didn't really want to go in there. Put her head first into the queen cage. We then carefully pick up nurse bees, again by the wings, and put about 5 to 7 nurse bees to care for and feed the queen while she's en route to her new home. We then plug the hole in the end of the cage with some candy, and she's ready to be introduced to her new colony. This is Tom Repass of Canyon Rim Honeybees in western South Dakota. Thanks for watching.